What's up, party people? Welcome back to my channel. We are doing another Sheglam haul, which is Shein's makeup. They're like in-house makeup brand, and I have like an entire bag of stuff. This is actually a combination of 2 or 3 orders, so we're probably gonna break this up into separate videos. But I think the most expensive thing that I have in here was like $8, and that's shooting high. If you want to see some more stuff from Sheglam put to the test, then check that out right here. This is my first Sheglam haul. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into trying some more stuff from Sheglam. So first things first, let's do some eyeshadow primer. So this is the Ready Set Primer. I got the shade Nude because I figured it would probably give a little more coverage than just translucent, because I think they also have just a basic translucent, but what's the point of that? I don't understand why people use just translucent eye primers when concealing eye primers do so much more. So this one has a very, very sheer amount of coverage to it. Like, it's mostly translucent, but it does have just a tad bit of pigment to it to where it just covers up the veins and discoloration a little bit. Like, it just kind of evens out your eyelid. This one reminds me a lot of the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. The times that I've used this, it really does lock onto your eyeshadows and keeps them on longer. So, I mean, so far so good. First up is a Very Strawberry palette. It reminds me of, I think, a ColourPop palette. It's like a pink lemonade kind of palette. That's why I would call this pink lemonade. I do have several brush sets that I'll probably be using today. I have this green set, and then I also have this like taupey poop brown one. The taupey poop brown set is called the 12-piece eye makeup brush set. It's in the shade Champagne, which poop brown. And this little 12-piece set is a whopping $2.97. Actually, when it's not on sale, it's $3.50, but I got it for $2.97. And the green brush set is called the 14-piece makeup brush set in the shade Green, and this was $6.78. So you'll see both of these used today. I mean, they don't look the highest quality. Like, I feel like these could possibly be shedders. The poop brown set could be a bunch of shedders. This little guy over here is kind of sticking up, like the bristles are kind of frayed. This guy's doing it. This guy's, I mean, they're all kind of sticking up a little bit. But you know what? It was like $2. I can survive. No, not I. Oh, well, fine. Okay, so these don't have names, so you're just gonna have to get a good look and just guess. I'll first go into the lightest shade in here and use that as my transition. This probably won't show up on me because it's so skin tone like, but we're just gonna see. Actually, that's showing up pretty well for it to be so light. Like, I didn't think that would show up at all on me, but it's there. Are we gonna get crazy? I think we're gonna get crazy. I'm gonna go into that yellow shade right there because we are going all out today. This feels very outside of my comfort zone nowadays, not gonna lie. Okay, now I'm gonna go into this really pretty matte peachy shade. There's not a lot of fallout, there's not a lot of debris. Like, they're very like nicely, tightly packed in here. Not so much to where there's like no pigmentation coming off on the brush or anything, but just like a good amount to where there's not any kind of debris. I will say these are more on the buildable side. Like, they're not super full on opacity right out the gate, but I think it works for shades especially like this that are a little more vivid and bold. I think I'm gonna bring it back down to earth a little bit and go into this matte brown. This is a really unique undertone. It's kind of like a peachy undertone brown. May not show up too much, like we may have to build it up a little bit. Okay, yeah, that's showing up, but once again, same thing across the board. Like, all the mattes are very sheer and buildable. I'm gonna go ahead and swatch the shimmers in here just to get a good idea of what they actually look like. These are almost like a glitter shimmer hybrid, but they feel a little lower quality. They're a little more crunchy. They're a little more of that heavy aluminum foil kind of look. See what I'm talking about with this one at the bottom especially? Like, this one is that shade right here. Like, you can see when I'm swatching it, like in the pan, it looks kind of like hard pan. It's almost like it's too firmly packed in there. I think I'll start off with this really pretty like rose gold bronze shade. This one actually does feel more soft and more finely milled than the others. It's not like a chunky glitter. It's more of just like a smooth shimmer. I'm gonna go into a little flat brush from the green brush set. Like, this is kind of like a concealer brush, but we're gonna try it. Yeah, this bristle isn't the right material for a shimmer. Let's move to the fingers. Good old phalanges. So here's what that shade looks like. Yeah, it's a really pretty shade, very universal. Why is it all on my cheek? It's not bad, but it's not great. I'm gonna take a setting spray or like some kind of hydrating mist. This is actually from Sheglam. This is the Press Refresh Setting Spray. It kind of seems like it's trying to be like the MAC Fix Plus, where it's not really like a longevity increasing kind of setting spray. It's more of like a hydrating setting spray. I'm gonna link a video up here in the card if you want to check out how I wet my shimmers now. I do it a little bit differently, and I think that works better. Yeah, that definitely made it look more like a cream. Okay, so I'm gonna go into this really chunky shimmer down here. Like, it looks so thick and heavy and just really foily. I feel like people have made foily sound positive. Like, oh, it looks like aluminum foil, it's metallic, it's a nice shiny finish. Nah. I look at foily most of the time as like, it looks crunchy, it looks too thick, too heavy. Look how thick this is. Like, it just wants to stay put wherever you first lay your finger down, or whatever tool you're using. It doesn't want to spread out because it's so like glue-like. I'm just gonna take a brush and just kind of try to flake off that inner portion where I applied it. Like, that's weird. Okay, so I'm gonna go back into, what's the shade called? It's My Jam, which is that more like rose undertone bronze. And we're gonna put that just all over the eyelid. Look at my face. Like, first off, look at how glittery and shimmery underneath my eye is. But also, look where that shimmer flaked off, like into a big pile. This is a no-go for me, guys. Like, the mattes aren't bad. Like, I can work with them. But if the shimmers suck, then it's just not worth it. Since I had to wipe off my skin so much, and there's still glitter and shimmer stuck to it, so it's probably gonna show up through the foundation. But since my base is pretty much removed, I'm gonna go into that Press Refresh setting spray and just use that as kind of like, I don't know, like a priming base. Smell like coconut. Moving on to eyeliner, I have a couple of different shades. This is the Expert Creamy Liner. Have black and brown. Here's the brown. Not the most pigmented and intense. Here's what the black shade looks like. So they're both a little dry. Let's try the black shade. Like, I really like a nice jet black, so let's see if that can do that. Okay, I will say it does look more intense on the eyes. I'm gonna go into an eyeliner brush. Let's use this one from the green set. Smoking out nicely, so that's good. Let's try that brown shade on the other side just to see. They're both not super creamy. It's a little more on the dry side and not super opaque. It definitely isn't the most glidey, smooth formula. All right, so there's what the brown looks like, and here's the black. Isn't my favorite, but also isn't the worst. The hell? So moving on to eyebrow pencil. So I have these skinny brow pencils, and I have two different shades, ash brown and light brown. And unfortunately, it's the kind of packaging that doesn't have the shade names on it. So I got one of these for 3 cents, okay? Legit 3 cents. I've tried these, or I tried one of them one other time, and I really like it. So here's what I think is the ash brown shade. So we'll put it down here. So yeah, a little bit darker. Then we have light brown, so we'll put it right next to it. So yeah, so ash brown is just a step up. It's just a little bit darker, a little more taupey. So I'm gonna use light brown. This is one of those brow pencils that, in my opinion, it's the perfect balance of everything. Like, it's a perfect balance of creaminess to pigmentation, but it's creamy and pigmented enough to where it's fast. That was super quick. Like, it took me maybe a minute to do that, if that. And it's like my perfect brow match. I will say, using that setting spray, or that like refreshing spray is what they call it, didn't really do a whole lot for my face. Like, it gave me a little more tack, but it didn't make my skin look super different. Like, I don't look extra glowy or extra hydrated. I just have a tad bit more sheen. So I think it's time to move on to what I'm most excited about. I think it's time. This. This is the Skinfluencer Full Coverage Foundation Balm. I got the shade Shell because in the other foundation, the hydrating foundation that I tried in that first video, it was in the shade Shell. But yeah, this is supposed to be a super full coverage, like super opaque kind of foundation balm. I've got a little bit to cover up today. I've got a few blemishes, like recovering blemishes and some redness in those areas. So let's use this foundation brush in the green set. Like, I've seen a lot of people use the foundation balm with like a flat foundation brush like this. So first, let's give it a little swatch of Rosies. That is super creamy first off. So there's what that shade Shell looks like. I think it's gonna be another perfect match. I think it's gonna be. I've seen people cover up their tattoos with this. Like, this is supposed to be like, is it trying to be like the KVD apple, good apple found, what is that? I don't know, that balm that went viral a while back. Also interested in seeing how this works with a sponge too. So I'm just gonna do a very light amount starting out. Coverage is it's definitely there. It's like a hybrid between like a skincare and a foundation. Like, it feels really nourishing and really hydrating. Okay, so there's what a little bit of blending looks like. So that just completely melted into my skin. Will say I don't think I love it with this foundation brush, so I think I'm gonna do a little switch of Rosies. All these brushes look really bad. I just don't like them. I think this is gonna work a lot better. Oh yeah, that's the ticket. And a little bit does go a very long way. Like, it's just so, wow. Girl, if you're looking for coverage, this gives you some coverage. I probably could have gone with a slightly darker shade because right now I'm a little darker. It's summertime, but I think this is gonna be better for like the fall and winter, but that's okay. We'll make it work with bronzer and stuff. It just looks like just butter, but it doesn't look super thick on the skin. I definitely didn't like it with that foundation brush from that green set. I think overall I don't like the makeup brushes from Sheglam. But as always, we have to see how it works with a sponge because the sponge is magic. I've seen a lot of people here recently talk about how you shouldn't wet your sponge anymore because using like a wet sponge, like water in your foundation, like it'll make your foundation separate. I mean, girl, get out of here with that. Whoever comes up with this stuff, like, what are you guys doing? I'm gonna go wet my sponge. Thank you very much. And I'm just gonna go in and just kind of tap it out in the areas that I was seeing. Like, I was kind of seeing some almost like streaking issues with that flat paddle brush. So I'm just gonna go over that area. Ooh, that looks good. Hopefully this wears well. You know what? I don't even think I want to use concealer. I don't think I need it. We're just gonna take the little pointy side of my sponge. This is a AOA Studio Wonder Blender, by the way. I'll link it down there too. And I'm just gonna take a little bit on that pointy side. Oh, look at that coverage, you guys. So if you try this all over your face and it doesn't work for some reason, try for under the eyes. Like, it's definitely a thicker kind of foundation though, so I will say I'm kind of worried about like transferring. Like, I'm afraid if I scratch my face or touch it or something, it's going to completely remove the product. Actually, that didn't really do it too bad. The next thing I have are some bronzer slash contour sticks. These are the glowing up skin sticks. I'm gonna use one on each side just so you can see two in action. This one is Golden Sun, so let's go right here. Okay, that one's definitely more of a cool tone contour shade. Golden Sun's misleading. I hate when brands don't call things the right thing. Like, that's not Golden Sun. Okay, so the other shade, the warmer tone shade, is called Warm Honey. So I think that's definitely a more suitable name for this one. So yeah, there's Warm Honey and there's, we're gonna call it Alley Cat. So I got this brush right here, which is a little more fluffy. I don't know how it's gonna work for this kind of formula, but this actually is a 3-piece set. This is the 3-piece makeup brush set in the shade Redwood. This is $2.97 or normally like $3.50. Some of the bristles are kind of sticking up, so it's just, they're not made the best. I'm just gonna take a little bit on this angled brush right here, which is already shedding. Good sign. And I'm just gonna go around. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and dot it on. We might have to switch up brushes. This one's just too fluffy for this stiff of a formula. This is a very stiff formula. I'm actually afraid it's gonna disrupt the foundation where it's so heavy. I'm gonna take a stippling brush like this. This is a very dense stippling brush, and it's got a little more power and strength to it. So I'm just gonna go around and tap that in. So for the other side, I'm just gonna get some on my brush like that and just kind of stipple it around. So yeah, it's not the worst product. Like, the tone of it looks fine. Like, I was afraid it was gonna be too dark and too like orangey, but it actually works out really, really well. I just don't really like that blend, so I'm not feeling too good about these so far. Okay, so I'm just gonna go right here in the hollows. I really hate contouring. Can we do away with contouring? Okay, so we're just gonna use that little brush on the other end of it. Let's see how it does. Oh, it's just too small. I don't like how small this is.
That's what she said.
Yeah, no. It does kind of give you a little more of that like structured, shaded, like shaped look. Go down here and do a little jaw structuring. The shade works out really well for my skin tone. Like I said, it's not too gray, not too ashy. I feel like the formula is just too stiff and just like, almost like sticky in a way. So I have a couple of different blush options. So I have this little Cosmic Crystal Mousse Blush in the shade Bellini. This is normally $4.49. It's just like a putty blush. It looks kind of sheer, like it's not full in opacity, so we'll see. Now on the other side, I have another blush stick that's like the same kind of packaging as the bronzers. This is the Glowing Up Skin Stick in the shade Next Dimension. This is like a corally, kind of like a corally watermelon kind of color. And again, I'm not really feeling the makeup brushes, so I'm just gonna use my own, but I'm just gonna put it back here. Ooh, that is blending on and looking a lot better than what I was afraid it was gonna look like that. That's actually really pretty. And I love this color too. That is beautiful. Moving on to the other one. Actually, these are pretty similar shades. Like, this one's just a little bit more of like a terracotta coral. Let's see how this works on this side. Ooh. Okay. Hello, Winifred Sanderson. Okay, so there's a stick blush on this side, and then there's the mousse blush. I definitely like the mousse blush better. It blended out better. It definitely sits better on the skin. It's got a little less glow. Like, it's more of like a smooth, satiny kind of finish versus this one, which is a little more luminous, a little more glowy. So if you have a lot of texture and blemishes and stuff, then you may not like this kind of formula. So yeah, I would pick the mousse blush. And along with that, I have the Cosmic Crystal Mousse Highlighter in the shade Moonbeam. So this is normally $4.49 as well. Kind of puts me in mind of the ColourPop Super Shock highlighters, but let's see. Yeah, definitely not super intense, not super metallic or wet looking, but hopefully it looks a little bit better on the skin. Color's really pretty though, so let's see how this works with this little poop brown fan brush. So yeah, it's not looking super glowy. And I feel like on certain skin textures, like if you have a lot of texture and dryness and stuff, it may look like you can see the shimmer particles on the skin. So I would be aware of that because it is definitely more of a dry formula. Like, it's not like a super creamy, hydrating kind of moussey, like the Super Shock collection from ColourPop. It's definitely more on the dry side. But I do want to try it with my finger too. We're going to try it a couple different ways to see if we can make it look even better. So I'm just going to tap it on. That's not looking the greatest. Like, it's not really unifying with my skin. Like, you can see an obvious stripe there, not a lot of glow. So okay, so I'm gonna take a stippling brush now because that usually seems to work out with this kind of formula. So let's just go on this side. Okay, yeah, this is definitely the way to do it. So it looks a lot more melded. I mean, it's still not the best thing I've ever tried. There's a lot of good highlighters out there, so I feel like the bar is really high, but it's still pretty. I don't have any more face products, but what I do have is a little powder puff. So I got this set. How many are in this? This is a 5-piece powder puff set, which is $1.50 normally, and I got it for $1.27. It's kind of like an ice cream cone shape. I'm gonna use Believe Beauty Matte Blur Loose Powder in the shade Translucent. translucent. Yeah, I'm just gonna get a little bit of product on the tip of the powder puff, and then I just kind of like to flick it from behind just to make sure there's no like heavy amount laid down. Now I just start in my T-zone and work my way up to my under eyes, and then work it around the rest of my T-zone, just so it's more evenly distributed. Okay, the shape of this powder puff is perfect. I'm also gonna get some on the bottom side and go underneath my contour and stuff, like go underneath my cheekbone. It works so well for getting right around your nose, like in the little crevice right there. But yeah, I look really smooth. I feel like the powder puff really set everything in place, and my skin feels nice and set. So yeah, I like them. So I have another setting spray I wanted to try. So I've been using the blue one, but I also have this Sunday Picnic setting spritz. Here's what the mixture looks like. It's very fine. It's supposed to be long wearing and hydrating. That's pretty much all it says about it. I'm just gonna put this on one side and see if I can tell a difference in like the finish and whatnot. So, oh, very fine. Oh. That is pungent. It's almost got kind of a sickening smell to it. Like, let's wait a little bit and see what it does on its own and see how it compares to the no setting spray side, and then we'll go in to the blue one, the coconut one, on this side and see if we can see a difference, because they may be the exact same thing, just a different scent. I don't know. Okay, so for lips, I have a couple different options. This is the Starlight Velvet Lipstick in the shade Beach Babe. This was $3.49 originally. So here's what that shade looks like. Kind of like a purpley undertone pinky mauve. And then in my recent order, I got the Cream Allure lipstick in the shade Nude. And I feel like calling it nude is a little deceiving because this is not a nude. This is definitely like a rosy tone pink. So it's still got a little bit of that purpley undertone like the other one does, but it's just less purple. I'm just gonna line my lips with the ColourPop Lippy Pencil in the shade Oh Snap. Okay, going into the bougie one. Yeah, it definitely does look very hydrating, very glossy. I wouldn't say it's super glossy like a lip gloss. It's more of like just a more creamy lipstick. Actually, you know what? Let's take this off and apply the other one too, just to let's get as much in here as possible.
That's what she said.
Honestly, this is just a slightly darker matte version, like the matte sister to the hydrating lipstick. I personally prefer a more hydrating glossy finish. I have drier lips, so matte on me just, we don't jive. I will say for a matte lipstick, it's actually pretty comfortable. It doesn't feel drying or anything. Like I would prefer a gloss on top, but on its own, it feels really nice. Again, that's the shade Beach Babe. I do like the hydrating one better though, and I also like the shape of it. Like this little like 3D shape, it's pretty cool. Going back to the setting spray, so this side does look more like unified into my skin. Like I feel like this one did meld the layers together better, so it doesn't look as like, you know, here's a layer, here's a layer, here's a layer. As far as the effect initially, it looks pretty good. Let's do the blue one on this side. That mister, man, that's nice. I have tried this a few other times before today, and it just seems like my face is melted down with it. So maybe it was just a bad makeup day, but I don't know. I don't have the best like taste in my mouth for this. So if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more videos like it where I test out stuff from Sheglam, then give it a big old, oh, I can't click anymore, thumbs up. Here's a couple more things for you to check out next. So just venture around the channel, make yourself at home as always. Subscribe if you're not already, and turn the notification bell on to always see my stuff. And I will see you guys in the next one. Mwah.